Hi everyone, and welcome to the final module. Number 9 is all about bringing some of the threads together of what we've been learning and is a course plenary. It's a concluding module just to wrap up and finish our learning together and give us also an opportunity to do some reflection. Let's have a look at the intentions for this module. By the time we finish this module, you will have consolidated what you know about the principles of learner-centered pedagogies and also the framework of PBL. Consolidate. We're going to continue to ensure that we've understood and made sure that some of those frameworks are nice and clear in our minds. In this module, you're also going to have the opportunity to reflect on your learning growth. You're going to look back upon where you were at the beginning. You're going to look at some of the key moments. You're going to think about your KWL reflection. And you're also going to be sharing some course feedback as well to wrap things up. Let's get into our first lesson. 9.1 is all about us just revisiting some of the key messages and our course learning intentions, just to revisit some of those things. This is a great technique when we're working with our students. We always come back to those key messages just to, within our plenary. What was it we were focusing on? What was it? What is our key message again? So coming back to some of those key learnings. This diagram represents some of those key learner-centered pedagogies and the principles to do with them. We talked about student choice. We talked about real-world application, a focus on learning growth. We talked about teamwork and collaboration. When we center learning on the learner, not the teacher, we are sparking their interest and curiosity. We're thinking about what do our students really enjoy thinking and talking and learning about, and maybe we design around that. We also give them lots and lots of choice. So they're choosing how and what they will learn. We describe those ideas as I design learning that statements. And I bring you back to these just to continue to challenge you to think about whether you're doing this or not and how you might increase your work. There may well be aspects of the course that you want to continue to develop, and I encourage you to keep coming back to these statements because these are the things that will help you focus on this approach. Designing learning that gives student choice about what they learn and how they learn. You design learning that requires students to work in teams and collaborate with others, and we rely upon that. Maybe you're designing learning that's connected to a real-world application, sparking our students' natural curiosity, maybe using specific provocations to do that, to encourage some specific talk. You're also maybe designing learning that gives students, requires students to create and share an artifact that represents their learning growth. Keep returning to some of these statements, keep returning to some of these ideas to help you think through that approach to learner-centered pedagogy. Our process was all about these three aspects. Let's quickly remind ourselves: exploring inquiry questions, exploring different topics. We develop questions or challenges to explore together. Students create new ideas and solutions. It was problem focused, real world problems. You develop artifacts to show their learning. And we focused also on taking action, didn't we? Not just keeping it in the classroom, not just for the sake of it, but going out into the world and applying what they have learned in real world applications. They share and they engage with real audiences. And a way that we thought about that was how do you invite a range of people to engage with students' ideas and their learning? How do you invite them in? If we do these things, if we work with project-based learning in these ways, we're going to be hitting many of these specific capacities, and that's an important one to remember about different types of communication, building their character through the way that their ideas are having an effect on others, developing the digital literacies that are involved in presenting and creating. Many critical and creative thinking are going to be all the way through. What type of question is the best one to ask is a great critical thinking routine. Creative thinking, think about some of the development of ideas that we've had to do as well in response to some problems. Each of these different capacities are going to be used as you explore project-based learning. It's a useful one to keep coming back to to remind yourself. Let's quickly look then at what we intended from the beginning as we start to finish up this lesson, this recap lesson. We set out to begin to understand the principles of learner-centered pedagogies and also to look at the principles of project-based learning. The mindset was about creativity and designing. And I hope that you've been open to some of the ideas that we've explored together. And I hope that you've got the most from it. Your disposition and your approach is something that will unlock the potential, I think. The skills that you've developed have been about learning design. And you've spent a lot of time just recently exploring the design of something new. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as a result of that new design, communicating and collaborating with others. And finally, we had to work on building our tool sets, all of our thinking tools and routines that we might use. And I hope that your teaching toolkit is much broader than it was at the beginning. And you've got lots of new ways that you might approach your teaching in the classroom. We're going to finish there in terms of the recap. And in the next lesson, we're going to be looking at a final reflection and feedback.